Okay, today we're going to talk about some basic knitting techniques. I'm using a large gauge yarn just so that you can see it better in the video. And then I'm using some medium size, these are bamboo knitting needles, I just prefer them. You can use all different kinds. But these knitting needles are a 10.5. So what we're going to start with is a slip knot. And when you start knitting, you're going to want to take out, depending on what gauge of yarn you have and how big your project is, you're going to want to start with, you know, maybe 2.5, 3 feet of yarn and pull that aside. And then you're going to want to make a slip knot, which you make a circle that crosses at the bottom. And then you're going to take another loop of yarn and place it through that circle and pull it through. I'll do it again. You make a circle, take the top yarn, push it through in a loop and pull it, and then you're going to want to pull it a little smaller. You can take one of your knitting needles and you fasten it on here. And this is what's called casting on stitches. This is going to determine how big a piece you're making. Like if you're making a rectangle, this will, determine the width of your rectangle or square. And how you cast on stitches is you take the length that you've pulled apart, not the length that's attached to your yarn, and you're going to want to wrap it around your thumb like that, come up underneath, take the piece of yarn that's attached to your yarn ball, wrap it around the knitting needle, and then take this that's on your thumb and lift it over. I caught this with the yarn. Okay, let's try it again. You're going to take, you can grab it with these 3 fingers, wrap your thumb around, where it crisscrosses over, you stick it up through the underneath piece, take your piece of yarn that's attached to your knitting ball, wrap it around, and slip this over. I'm going to do a few so I can show you. Take it with your fingers, wrap your thumb around, stick it up underneath, wrap this side around, and flip it over, and then you pull out a little taut. Don't pull it too tight because then you won't be able to move the yarn on the needle. When you're working with a pattern, it'll tell you how many stitches to cast on at the beginning, and that'll determine the size of your piece. And it'll also talk about doing some practice gauging, which, because there's so many different sizes of yarn out there, and so many different size knitting needles, that it can be difficult to tell which ones are best for the right types of patterns. So what you'll do is, it'll give you an estimate, and then you can cast on a few stitches, do a couple rows, and then measure out, it'll say in the pattern how wide the piece should be at the beginning, and then you don't get too far and realize that you haven't put enough on or you've used the wrong size yarn or knitting needle. So that's all. So we're going to be making some new ones. We're going to teach you how to knit and purl and cable. So we'll use the same types of yarn. So when you get the hang of this, tune in again and we'll have some extra techniques for you.